We oh, hello again.
Hey,
Guys, sorry about that. This is I don't think we've had a
Uh,
very I don't think we've had a good this is this is us live moment on the L5R side of things, right? For our
that's
L5R
true.
friends. Most of the time this happens on the Netrunner side.
yep.
But that being said, so what we have here is a little bit of technical difficulties, a speed bump. Um, I hope I hope you've welcomed yourself back. Um,
Yeah, settle in. Took a minute. Chatted amongst yourselves.
yeah,
Be
I,
like, hey, would it be cool if
I can see
we were talking
all
about
the
cards?
arrows moving now all over the place. So we're good.
Good. All right, so I guess let's try this again. Um, hey, Jameson, take it from the top.
Thanks very much to friend in the chat to give us that heads up. We would have done this whole thing with me on mute. Some of you might like
Yeah,
that.
I
Some of you might
appreciate
not.
it.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, thanks again. Um, the, the other thing. So what we're doing is we're going to look at the first Dynasty pack for L5R. The way we do things here on Bad Publicity is we do things as a tier list. This helps us do a living breakdown of the card game from pack to pack. So that way things don't become,
Locked in.
yeah, and we're able to do some ebbs and flows like a stock market, right? The stock in a card goes up, we can adjust the ratings, and the stock card goes down, we can adjust the ratings. So the link is in the description. You'll be able to follow along. We're not really going to show you because this is the first pack. The tier list isn't really built out that much, so I'm not going to have it on screen working on it. But if you have it up on your screen, you can follow along. Or if you're listening to the audio, you'll be able to take a look at the completed one as we have finished it. So
Yeah, and I'll just chime in again with my interjection last time. So again, just to kind of reiterate, the idea is we want to keep it very flexible. So that way, if we see a card that doesn't really have a big use or a purpose for a deck in, say, pack one, but then a card in like pack five comes out that like really turns that card on, we're not bound by our initial impressions of that card from like 3, 4 episodes ago. So we can now go in and reevaluate some of those cards we previously talked about and say like, oh man, these have moved up in power level or usability based on these other cards now synergizing and turning them on. So us having like a living tier list makes it a lot more flexible. And it's also, we can get feedback from people, like you guys listening in chat and conversation. So that way, if we rate something and there's a lot of you who disagree and think we're crazy, likely that happen. We can take that feedback and on the next episode go like, hey, a lot of people brought up some really cool examples and ideas of this. Maybe we rate this card a little too low and we can bump it up. So it's like a group effort, guys. It's great.
So that being said, let's just dive right into it, guys. So here we go. Welcome to the very first Bad Publicity Dynasty Pack review
for the Imperial cycle.
Yeah. Again, little housekeeping rigmarole. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, find us on social media, help us out. Blah 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 blah. Let's get into this.
Yeah, let Jameson know he's on mute. These are all great benefits, contributions from the community. So we greatly appreciate it. Okay, so I'll start. So the order that we're utilizing this fantastic site, Five Rings DB, shout out. We've sorted the pack by clan, so it's going to start with the crab side, and it usually breaks each clan cards down in alphabetical order. So you kind of get an idea of what order makes sense. There unfortunately isn't a way to sort it by pack number. We couldn't get them fan out, so sorry if it jumps, but some of you will like having your clan's cards broken up and gone over first anyway. So the first card we're starting with is the Karada District. This is a crab holding Imperial, strength +1, limit 1 per deck. As an action, give an opponent 1 fate, choose an attachment on a character that player controls, take control of that attachment and attach it to an eligible character you control. Otherwise, discard it. This card's good.
Yeah, why so much attachment hate, man? Come on.
So I actually played against this one of the first times today, and you have to change a lot of things about your play when this card's on the table. Like, one, you want to try to get rid of it, because if you have like attachment game that you're trying to play around, this card's going to mess you up. Because a lot of times it's usually good for your opponent to be like, yeah, man, I'll take it. Is it going to swing this conflict? Sure, I'll take it and swing this conflict and take this attachment from you. I mean, especially because there's some decks that really like attachments like Spyglass. And to have something that it doesn't just destroy the attachment, it just takes it and adds it to the other player. So it also gives them some really neat calling in favors protection. So there's some really cool stuff that this holding does for Crab. I think it's pretty good. And it's Imperial keyworded, which could be great. We don't know yet.
Yeah, and I mean, it could discard it if you can't attach it, right? So.
Yeah. So it's the one thing about this card, of course, is it's only one per deck. So, I mean, you can't rely on it coming up every game. But when it shows up, and if it shows up early and you're able to defend it, which if you're playing Crab, that's usually a thing you're pretty good at. Trying to keep this holding on the board, or just rebuilding it or putting it back into play to kind of have it out as long as possible. It's really cool. I mean, it changes some of the way your opponent has to play if they play with attachments. And being able to take them and just add them to your guys could be pretty sweet. So, I mean, my impression is I feel like this card's good.
Oh, right to good. Okay, so our tier system, we go great, good, above average, average, below average, bad, terrible. So there's 7 stages.
7 stages of terrible.
Yeah.
Just Hollis's favorite rating. You'll find out. Just wait.
Oh my god! It's like, is it tier 1? It's terrible. They're not going to slot it. Just not. But I would agree with you, Corey. I think that Karada District is really, really good. I mean, like we have such limited. I feel like the attachment like interaction is pretty limited. This is the reason why so many people are splashing Dragon, is because Let Go allows you to take attachments and remove them from your opponent, or in this, well, it also lets you remove cards like, Cloud the Mind from your characters. But I mean, being able to take away, even if it's a 0 cost, being able to take away that Fine Katana, being able to take away that.
I don't know if you want to do this on the Katana, but.
Well, I mean, but you get to put it on your own character, right?
Yeah,
which is still.
I mean, Spyglass is a good target.
If you need to do it because you're,
I mean, I guess I feel like, so it's a holding, right? And it's an action to use its ability. So I mean, you don't get to, when this card comes up, you don't really get to pick what your opponent has on them. But like it's universally good that way. Like you said, it forces your opponent to make some very odd or different decisions when they're determining how they're going to boost their characters during the conflict. If they choose to say, I'm going to attach this, this Fine Katana in this military conflict, okay, that's fantastic, but I'm going to move that on over here, or just discard it. So we just zero that out again, and either give me the advantage or say, hey, you lose your advantage. So I like it for that reason. I think that the ability to manipulate those attachments that way, when you don't have to splash Dragon, is actually a movement in the right direction. Even if I look away from just the utility of the card in Crab, the fact remains is anything that pushes us away from having to look at Dragon as a splash is a good card. Like immediately good for the beginning of the game, especially. Mm-hmm. Just in premise.
Well, I think it's only good if you're not like using those factions. Like if you plan on using Dragon or one of the other attachment factions. I mean, why wouldn't you use Dragon? But then this doesn't really. I don't think it carries its weight. I mean, it's a 2-fate swing, and that's steep.
I don't know if I would say it's a two-phase. I mean, because if you look at it, think about if you're in a conflict, right?
Well, I just mean so you're losing one and the other person's gaining one, so it's a swing of
True,
two.
but if by paying that you're winning a pivotal combat in the game, or triggering a ring that is super important to your board state, I mean that's worth it, right?
Mm-hmm. I just don't think that it can be, if you're looking for ways to manipulate attachments, this is a step in the right direction. So it's going to open up options where you're not relying on what Dragon can do for you. But the other thing is that it's not going to be able to do all of the same manipulation that Dragon can do with Let It Go, like Hollis touched on, all of those negative ones. And
yeah,
but then maybe that's good, right? Because maybe even if you use this with Dragon, right, think of now how all the attachment options you have. So now the negative ones that get played on you, you can save your Let Goes for that. And if you have Karada District live, that allows you to take the positive attachments from your opponent and attach them to your guys. So it makes your opponent have to play around it. And I think that's the thing that this card does. Like when it shows up on the table, like you have to think about like what you're going to play on your characters, because if you try to play like, you know, as Hollis uses an example of Fine Katana in a conflict and then they take it and attach it to one of their guys, that's a swing. Like that's a momentum shift in the conflict. Because now you've gone up to, now you've gone down to, and they've gone up to.
Yeah, but then so I don't like the give an opponent a fate. I don't like that ability on this card, and I don't like the limit one per deck. I don't think you're going to see it as much as you're going to want to see it.
Right.
So I think to me that kind of lowers the card value of it, but I do think that Crab needs holdings, and this is a step in the right direction from them. I can't go and say that this is going to be good. I'm more of above average right now with it, kind of sitting in that kind of territory because of those drawbacks of it.
Cool.
Hollis,
did you give your play?
I did. I'm responding to some questions or comments in chat, but
no, I just mean like your actual rating of it, where you think.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I think it's good. I actually think this card is good.
Oh, you guys are gonna outrank me, eh? Or
sorry. Yeah. No, I think the card is good, especially when I think about the current limited card pool. You know, I'll also preface this because someone's mentioning this in chat, and I am responding. But in short, like someone asked, you know, have we played with all these cards, or is it just theoretical thoughts? So let me sort of. Jameson said this in the beginning, but we basically can re-up this, given the fact that we went from 5 to roughly 15 people now in chat or so. So, in short, we're making a living tier list of the cards here that we review, and we're going to be doing this for all the cards that are released for this cycle. And what that means is we're going to rank the cards as they are now. As we get to the next pack, we're going to modify how we've ranked those cards based on existing interactions with cards as they release. So right now, this card may be good. Time goes on, maybe the card becomes bad, or maybe the card becomes awesome, you know what I mean, or great, or what have you. The purpose of this is that it sort of holds us, number one, accountable for the cards at the time that we review them, but it also kind of holds us accountable and lets us modify how we rank cards based on getting the full big picture. Because I think that when you review a card, you very much review it in a vacuum most of the time. You review it based on what's available now. But we don't know everything in Pack 6 or Pack 5. So it's impossible for us to reasonably say, you know, for this whole cycle, this card is going to be the best crap card coming out. We don't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is and to add on to that, I have played with and played against cards in this pack.
Yeah, and I've played against a lot of cards because I'm practicing for PAX this weekend. I'm not playing with any cards from tiers, but I've played online against a lot of people playing these cards. So I'm kind of seeing it from how do I deal and how I feel like they've impacted me in my play. And then some of the stuff what I played, then it's just kind of like, you know, gut reactions based on a lot of reps and stuff I've had without that card being in the deck.
Yeah, and I mean, things are going to change too. Like I know that there was just a comment there saying that this card came out round 1 with someone that they were playing against Crab as Dragon, and that kind of made the
awkward.
Yeah, it made for a non really fun game, an uphill battle. But we got to look at it like not from like how it does against, like, because I'm a Dragon player and I'm not judging it about how it's just doing against my faction, like the power level. I got to think about everything as a whole. So everything to be taken into account. So that,
but let's say you were a Dragon player, hypothetically, which you are, and they flip this turn 1. Would your reaction be like, man, it's a pretty good card?
My reaction
or
is
would you
be,
say,
I'm about to get some fate.
I'm about to get pretty above averaged. You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to get above average right here.
Right.
Let's make a move.
Okay, we'll keep moving.
Yeah. Just to throw this in there, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Throwing the interaction in from the chat. So Rock Gamer 06 said he feels like this is kind of Quesada's ability in that part of the utility is preventing your opponent from playing an attachment in the first place. And in this instance, it's like, okay, well, not only do you not want to play it in the first place, if you do play it, it'll get stolen.
Yeah.
So like consider that
it says wily Yasuki merchants rolling around offering you deals you can't refuse.
Yeah, and then
all your stuff.
And then King of Odonata said the one card that can entirely warp a game because of how cheaply they can snag cards and sacrifice their units to make you lose that card as well, which is interesting, right? You can think like if we're gonna add all that up, you can take a card like this holding,
don't
and
take
say,
my dice shows.
you take this holding and say, I'm going to take your attachment. We're going to attach it to this little weenie. I call them weenies. These cheap, low cost, low stat characters to make them beefier. They're in the conflict when I need them. Now they're homebound, and now I can use the crab abilities. I'm just going to sack it, and I'm going to get rid of your attachment. I'm going to get rid of my card, and I'm going to make myself even stronger. Like, that's really cool.
So what you're saying is this card really hates on Dragon.
Yeah, because
right?
Do you know where those dice shows are going to go after? They won't be going back in my hand.
It's I think it's pretty good. Yeah. Good catch, by the way.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good catch.
All right, sweet. Hey, thanks for the feedback, chat. Appreciate it. So let's keep rolling. We've got a few more cards to do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So next up is Staunch Hida. This is a crab character, Bushi Yojimbo. Cost 2, military 2, a slash for political, and a glory 1. Reaction. After this character wins a conflict as a defender, resolve the ring effect of that conflict as if you were the attacking player. Max 1 per conflict. So triggering rings as a defender feels good.
I think this is really good. I think this is better than the holdings. I think this is a good card.
So I do think this is better than Defend the Wall.
No, I just said our last card.
So I do think it's good. The dash political is kind of painful because Crab tends to really like characters who can participate in all types of challenges to help defend. And the fact that you're only going to be able to trigger this ability if you're defending a military challenge does kind of limit its use for the cost. I don't think this is a bad card. It's hard for me to immediately throw it in good because of how limiting it is in the challenges you could participate with it in.
So I thought about that as well, but even though the stats on this card look pretty poor, to me that effect and about how that plays into the synergy of Crab, about being on the defender and able to resolve the ring effects, to me that pushes it up to where, to sit in a good category. I just think that this is something that if we see more of this in Crab, triggering the ring effects off of defense, we could be in trouble. I mean,
it's definitely powerful. Like having one Staunch Hida who contributes to defense, like makes you as an attacker, depending on the ring. That's another thing too, because sometimes if you pick a Void Ring, you have nobody with Fate. It doesn't really matter. You're like, whatever, you can win a Trigger the Ring.
Yeah,
back.
that's neither here nor there.
But like Ring of Water or like Ring of Earth, like those are things that make you a little nervous. I mean, hell, even Ring of Fire is something to be worried about. And you know, if Dishonor becomes a better playstyle for Crab, Ring of Air is also something to worry about being counter-triggered on you. So, I mean, that's a good effect. I mean, it's a really, really good effect. I just, again, like, my only knock against this card is the fact that it can't be involved in political challenges. So it limits the type of challenges it can be involved in. I still think the card's on the positive side.
It's pretty damn solid, man. In this faction, I mean, and I'm only saying, like, it gets that bump because of the defensive synergy of Crab that you're going to get there. Mm-hmm. If this was in any other faction, your argument, I'm like, yep, 100% agree. But I think it's just that little bit stronger because it sits inside Crab.
So Hollis, what's your gut reaction tell you?
So, I think this ability is really strong, but the question I have to ask myself is that I feel like Assassinate is a card that will, like, unless I see a massive shift in like how the cards are like basically designed, I feel like Assassinate is going to be a pretty big staple for the entire game for a long time. I mean, the thing is that like cards like this are the prime attractive reasons to ever play Assassinate. Mm-hmm. A 2-cost card, which while limited based on like raw stats as far as like military political, has this amazing ability that says, "Hey, defend the one conflict against you, and make sure you win. And if you do, it's just money. So, like, there's so much value there."
Hollis, do you want to go down this road, man? Do you want to open these floodgates to this line of reviewing? Like, are we old school Netrunner days where everything is going to
yoggable?
Is it yoggable?
Yeah.
If it's yoggable, no. I don't think Assassinate is there.
Like, I want to just flip the script for a second and just say, like, if you're going to use this as your Assassinate target, doesn't that say that it's a pretty damn good card?
And also, I will say, again, we don't know yet how much better Crab Dishonor builds can become. Yeah. But if this is a card that triggers your opponent to play Assassinate, I think that's what the Crab player wants you to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, there's going to be some nuances here, but again, I can only rate the card based on my existing knowledge of the card pool as it sits right now in the game. And so, like, not knowing what's coming, not knowing fair. Like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. As just said, and that's fair. I don't expect you to rate it based on your non-knowledge.
Sorry. Crab does have the luxury of reprieve. I'm not sure this is what you want to attach a reprieve to.
No.
But just be aware that for some reason, if it's like absolutely necessary for them to trigger it, that is an option. Quotes. That they could go through.
And this is good, right? Because, like, think about it, like, we basically place all of that when we look at like a card like Display of Power, right? It's like basically don't commit any resource to the conflict except for the 2 fate in this card, and that means that you've effectively won the conflict. Now in this instance, it has the triggering effect requiring you to win the conflict on top of being the defending player. And you still resolve the ring effect, and so you still have to win the conflict. So this card is less good compared to Display of Power. But any 2-cost, I'm weird with it, man. Any 2-cost character rubs me the wrong way because I know right now, again, if I look at the meta as knowing right now we have what will be out is the core set plus this 1 pack. I feel like this is not a fantastic selling point because I feel like this is an amazing target for Assassinate because I do not want you to overcommit. Well, I want you to commit to resources, but I don't want you to overcommit to guarantee the win. And then you all of a sudden, like, if you're the defender, you gain this ring effect. This is a game, we've talked about this before, a game of incremental advantages. The very last thing I want is to help you get the Imperial favor. The last thing I want is to help you basically, like, win as a defender and now gain the earth effect or the oh my god or the water effect or the like none of that, or the air effect. I don't want you to gain any of the, or fire. I don't want you to gain. I don't want you to gain anything. If you are defending, I do not want you to gain the benefit.
Yeah.
Well, void,
I mean, you might as well go. You might as well list all 5. You listed 4 or 5.
I'm just saying, like, I don't. If you're defending, I do not want you to gain any ring effect. That is the point of me choosing my set attacking effect as the ring. I'm often when you are the attacker, you're choosing you're choosing either what's better for you or you're choosing what's not good for you. The meta ring. Hashtag meta ring. Like, I mean, like that's what you're doing. Like you're choosing the meta. Either choosing the best ring for you. You're choosing the meta ring.
All right. You don't throw in though that if this becomes like, the problem is that if this becomes an assassinate target, Haruma Yojimbo used to be like the old like the pre-regular assassinate target for Crab. I still think Haruma Yojimbo becomes that prime target because of the stats. Which is tough because like you can't assassinate everything. So I would rate this card above average.
Hollis?
Oh, I'm gonna regret this. Average.
Whoa. Well, I said it was good. You say average. Corey says above. So I guess
damn it, it's 6 and above average.
Sits in the middle.
I had to balance it. So it's staying in above average.
All right.
Cool. All right. So now we're going to cross over into the old Crane cards. And the next card we have is Disdainful Remark. This is a Crane event. Disdainful Remark.
It's fine.
I know, but it's not it's not the order on my screen.
Oh, yeah?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. That's what shows up on mine. What's on yours?
The other one.
OG representative.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Just go.
That's cool. Yeah. Alphabet, it's hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, sometimes, programs, I don't get it. It's cost 1, keeper roll only, action. During a conflict, if you control the participating core to your character, until the end of the conflict, the attacked province gets plus X strength. X is equal to the number of cards in your opponent's hand. Influence cost 1.
Oh my god. What? Like, there's so many games that I've played where people just like have so many cards.
I mean, a lot of clans like to like bid 5 for their opener.
You mean like Scorpion?
Draw a ton of cards, and then
that's crazy.
To come and take your province. Or maybe you get to go first against a Lion player, and you hit Art of War, and then pop a bunch of cards in their hand, and then they retaliate, and then you disdainful remark them with all these cards they have. The cool thing is it's like an instant. So they can't like pitch cards to make it less. Once you've played it, you've set that modifier and you've locked in the bonus. It's an interesting card. I think that's my impression. This is one of those that I kind of want to have played against me a lot, because like gut reaction is this is cool and seems really powerful to protect your provinces. Because a lot of people don't typically commit like super heavy over what the province strength is. Like you'll assume that your average province strength is a 4, and so a lot of people will do like 5 or 6 military and maybe have like a force boost. And if you're holding 5 cards in your hand, like the same 4 mark will usually keep you from breaking that province.
Do you think as keeper this is going to see much play?
Well, it's not going to see a lot of play in Crane.
Yeah.
But clans that splash.
Well, okay, so it is 1 influence. So let's take that into account, right?
Correct. So I mean, it could be. I mean, if you're trying to play a defense game, right? Man, it'd be cool if there's some clans who are trying to play a defense game. Or maybe you play really aggressive with, on a military side, you want courtiers to be able to kind of defend and hold off your provinces from the retaliation. This is an interesting way to do it. So yeah, my initial inclination is I feel like this card is at least average, leaning on the above average, but I need to have this card played against me to find out exactly how impactful it is. My initial gut reaction is this card can be really impactful. But there's also, if you think about, like, if you get the late game and you're like a person who's burned through a lot of cards and you're only sitting on like 1 or 2 cards, I mean, it's not an ideal situation for you, but your worse board state makes this card less effective.
So who's going? So let's just cut the ifs and buts and all this other stuff aside at the moment and just look, right? So obviously Crane can't play it now.
Right. So for keepers, you've got. I mean, you've got what I know is like Dragon, Lion is a keeper of fire. I mean, Lion has a lot of courtiers. It's not a bad card for if you go offense on military. Then you use your courtiers as defenders, and you just defend with like an Akoma Prodigy or Venerable Historian, and then you just super buff your province.
But I still don't feel, as of right now, I don't know if there's going to be a heavy courtier deck to get this out reliable. I don't know if you bring up Lion. I don't know if Lion is going,
I hear this so many times. Lion have a lot of courtiers.
No, like I don't know if they're going to splash Crane.
I mean, the Clan Challenger deck at Worlds was splashing Crane.
Yeah.
It did. So it's an option. I mean, I think it depends. I mean, granted, there's different style builds, and if you want to play a more like control-y style Lion, because Lion can honor characters really effectively. I don't want to make this go into like Lion splash tactics, but I think they do have like some solid Crane builds that they could play with. I'm not saying this is a great card for that, but it could be.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think the problem is that I'm trying to agree with you to say it's an average card, but you keep talking it up.
I mean, my thing is like, if I like immediately read this, my gut reaction is, oh my god, this card can be nuts. Like early game, it can make it really hard for you to take provinces. If you had this in your hand, and it's usually early game where people like have a bunch of cards or have done a lot of things to draw a lot of cards, could be adding like on average between like 5 to 7 province strength, which makes most things unbreakable at that stage of the game, unless you're just going to invest a ton of cards and stuff to break something.
And I like its cost is very nice as well. I just think that right now that it's just very average for the sake that I don't know if it's going to how much play that it probably will see.
Yeah, I think that's the safe one. I think this is one that's going to have to be monitored as we review more and more of the cycle to see the decks it gets slotted into and how often it comes up and how much of an impact. I mean, granted, there's like a lot of provinces this thing gets hit on, right? You'd be super mad. Like, you don't want to have a pilgrimage that gets disdainful remarked.
No, but I'm just saying, like, that's you're already like holding it down by not letting the faction that it's built in play it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, its usefulness, if you're going to rank it, like, and we're going to build a living tier list, we have to take that into account, that it's pretty much unplayable in faction right now.
Right. But there are factions that can and might splash it.
No, and that's what brings it up to average. If it wasn't splashable, it would be terrible.
True. There's only one card that so far can't be played by anybody right now in the game.
Well, someone made a good point, and like this is how I feel about it. Like right now, I'll say this. And I think we might all agree with like this card in particular, and we're gonna see this more often as we go through the packs over the next few weeks, right? But the keeper and seeker roles are assigned for a good amount of time now, and of course this is a design mechanic in the game that is meant to only change at certain instances throughout the year. So it's gonna be a while before it changes again. We know that right now there's sort of this universal splash for Dragon for a lot of players, with a few exceptions. It is going to take the card pool to grow before people start rationalizing that splashing another faction that isn't Dragon as the universal answer is the right choice. So while it is fantastic, as G Dragon mentions in chat, it's fantastic that this card is a keeper role card that can be splashful and influence. It's really difficult to rank this overall in the meta, knowing that we don't have a large enough card pool to say if this is ever going to be super beneficial to anyone versus the existing splash options.
Yeah.
For that reason, I don't know if you guys give your ratings already. I personally am putting this card below average for 2 reasons. You know what? I don't. Do I want to go below average? I'm actually going to be against the grain here, and I know that people are going to disagree with this, but like I want you. Here's a preface. I expect this card rating to change, but I'm putting it under. For me, it's bad. It's bad to me because number one, the number of people that have keeper roll options are limited. So, and then it's bad to me because it means the people that now have keeper roll options have to rationalize splashing crab over anything else.
Crane.
Crane over anything else. And if I'm looking at that, you're going to splash Crane over Dragon? Really?
I think it depends on. I mean, Crane doesn't have bad cards. Crane has voice
no,
partner.
but I mean,
pretty good.
but let go though. Miyamoto's Fury. Like you're competing. Like it's not just you're competing for that. Just that the influence slot. Maybe
they want to spend all 13 of their influence Hollis, which is impossible to do in Dragon because every influence card in Dragon is only 2.
I mean sure. I mean that is true, but I mean like 3 Miyamoto's Fury or 2 or 3 Let Go's plus 2 Miyamoto's Fury. Like all those are great options. Like or 3 Tattooed Wanderer are all great options.
They're just gonna get let go. I'm just kidding.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, basically, I feel like it's an uphill battle for me to like even look at this card in a super positive light. And again, I'm pretty harsh on cards. It's hard to look at it as like a super positive light, knowing that we have a faction that is universally splashed because of its utility, and then not only that, this card is in addition to that lack of utility is limited based on the people that are only keeper roll. Mm-hmm. So. And not just keeper roll.
It's technically people who are only keeper roll who have a sufficient number of courtiers to be able to play it.
Yes.
That's the other thing, too. It has to be a courtier to be able to trigger it.
How come when he says it, you're like, yeah, that's true. But I say it, you're like no.
It's
I still think I'm still gonna rate this card average because I feel like right now it feels impossible for me to say this is bad or great. I think average is the safe play until I see it in the wild more. So I see someone build decks or taking advantage.
I think the benefit of the doubt. I think with Hollis's raking, we'll have to take it to below average for the.
It's because he went down to bad.
Yeah,
he drugged the whole score down.
I had to do the math.
No, but I mean it can be. It's going to be really good for swing. I mean, if Crane can play this card, being able to not
Crane can't play this card.
No, I said when they are able to play this card, to hold
What's
back.
Gonna be interesting.
Anybody can hold back on the.
And you also
on your committed characters.
There will be a point in the game too where clans will get 2 rolls. Because that's one of the big things that is one of the side event type things that they're doing at the Kotai events is allowing you to vote on the second role you want to be able to play with your clan. And then at select events, they'll give you the option between the 2 roles to play. So that is a nice kind of concession that it seems like FFG has made. So it's not super limiting and like cutting this card out entirely.
Yeah.
But you have I don't know all the exact details on how that system works but they have it listed on their website.
Let's make a move into the
let's
next
keep going.
one. Yeah.
So the next Crane card we have is Doji Representative. This is a Crane character, courtier, cost 3, military 1, political 3, glory 2. Action: during a conflict, move this character home. Great. Cards available to bluff, feint, cause your opponent to commit defenders, and then you can leave when you find out you can't win the conflict. Seems strong. Courtier and Crane, fantastic. 3 political with the 2 glory, so it can swing to a 3/5 if it gets honored. Seems good. I would at least rate this card above average. I think the ability to me, especially seeing how a lot of conflicts, getting the ability to commit a character and then see how your opponent defends it, and then there you can analyze if you feel like it's a winnable battle. And then if it's not, or maybe after a couple cards are played and you're like, no, I'm not in this, I'm just going to back out. And now I can use this character as a defender and their characters will bow after they've committed. Or I can just save this character and try another type of challenge later in the turn is really strong.
I have to agree with you. The cost is a little bit uneasy for me. paying for the 1/3, but 2 Glory stands out very nicely, and the ability is really good. I mean, to be able to pull somebody home, it is just, or to be able to move your character home after you see the commit. Like, how many times do you want to break a province or want to move in for an attack over commit? The guy's like, you can have it. Or like, I'm just going to throw in one guy just so I don't lose the, like, unopposed. And then you're like, flips, oh, wow, right? My whole family is, like, been pushed out there on the front lines.
And even think about some of the province flips, right? You get, like, a rally to the cause, and they flip it from, like, political to military. Representatives like, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this. I'm gone.
Yeah. I think it's a really strong ability. And being the courtier in Crane is, again, an added bonus that will be underappreciated. It's just good right now, or it's above average. I mean, the 3 cost is a little on it because might not be able to.
The ability is strong.
Yeah. So I'd say it's above average for sure at the moment. Hollis, any agrees or disagree?
Yeah, I think it's above average actually. It's actually partially because of the glory as well, because Crane is known for actually improving their glory. The potential that this card, I mean, obviously glory can make the card worse, but I feel like the potential to make this card a like 3/5 for 3 with the ability to like move in and out of the conflict is pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you consider Doji Challenger, you're like, wait a minute, I can move you. Like, you can have this really weird setup where it's like, you know what? I don't really care. I'm gonna attack, and I want you to win. I'm gonna. Don't worry. You are afraid of overcommitting? Let me help you with that. Bring him in the challenge, and I'm going home.
Yeah.
Like,
or you pull the guy in, see if you can still win the challenge.
Right.
So that way you can get all the benefit, bow their character, break their province, and then if like something goes wrong, then you can just pull guys back and be like, okay, well, I tried this. I'm still bowing your character, so it's okay.
So good.
And I'll still have guys to defend. There's a lot of tricks you can pull with it.
Yep.
So I think it's unanimous above average, huh?
Yeah. Nice. I think it's pretty good.
Done.
Yeah, I mean, you can also put this guy in there, and then later on, he will be able to have some synergy with the remark,
Oh yeah, it's true. One day you might be able to do it.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
What?
Okay. So the next Crane card we have is the Seal of the Crane, the first seal so far in the cycle. It is a Crane attachment item seal. Cool. Yeah. Cost 0, military 0, political +1. Attached character gains the Crane clan symbol and the duelist trait.
So before we get into this, picture this, and this is what I think would be frigging phenomenal. If we could get some, like, if you see that seal on there, that big rectangle with the, like the old school seals, the block, that's what the deck boxes should be like for prizes, right?
No, I just want someone to like alt art every single one of these with a clan variation of seal, like the musician.
Oh my god!
You'll have Crane seal, and then Phoenix seal, and we can do it, team.
Kiss from a Rose seal.
What if instead of Seal the musician, it was Seal the Pokemon? Can we just can we double down? Can we double down in card games,
guys?
Please?
I went from something awesomely serious to getting like these seal deck boxes to you guys talking about like Pokemon and Kiss from a Rose.
That is serious. That song is magical.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear that song come on and go, man, I wish this song would change?
No. But
you'll listen.
I see this card come up and think next.
No, okay, yeah.
Oh
God. So let's actually talk about the card. So
bad now, probably good later.
Correct. I think this is one of those that right now you're probably not going to play with. But this is a future potential card. I think Hollis may be excited because there's a lot of people who's jumping on the bad bandwagon. Yeah.
Yes.
One.
Yes.
So later on, hitting that the duelist trait and doing it for one influence, plus it being an attachment, giving you a political bonus. Boom, 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 boom. That is that could push this up the,
Yeah, it could. It could push it, but we don't know yet.
Yeah. So it's primed.
Right now,
it's primed for a move.
Right, but right now, I don't see why you would play this card.
Yeah, if you're buying Crane stock right now, you want to buy Seal of the Crane low because it
could go high.
It could go pretty high.
It's like
it's got no ceiling, man.
Like, what are the cards? I mean, like, there's so few cards that like really realistically interact with this in a way that's like beneficial, right? Like, man, I can't even remember, but like the card. Crane within its faction has cards that like allow you to honor a Crane card. Mm-hmm. So that's a selling point, I guess. But what the hell is the duelist?
You didn't sound very convinced.
I mean, it's like man, like so the cards that.
Hollis, we gave you the bad rating already. What more is there to say? You should
because it's terrible. Because it's terrible. Like like what is it doing? Like you make a deck right now. You make a deck right now. Is this card included in any of your decks? Any Crane deck. You make a Crane deck right now. Is this card included?
No. Terrible.
The card's terrible. That makes it terrible. That actually makes the card terrible. Now, as you mentioned, look at James's face. James, like as you mentioned, the card pool grows. We see that there's more cards interact with Crane cards in faction. And we can splash cards in from other factions that aren't Dragon, then maybe characters. Maybe. I don't know.
If Corey's willing to take it to terrible, I'll move it.
I'm not. I will keep it at bad.
Okay, there you go.
It's still a free +1 political.
It's terrible.
And it gives you the ability to play Way of the Crane on that character.
Corey's terrible.
Can't be terrible. It's not a good choice for you to put in your deck right now.
Got it.
But if you did play with it, you do have things it can do.
Let's go to the next one.
All right. Next one is, so we're going in the Dragon territory. I have Jade Masterpiece. Is that the one you have?
We can take it. We can take it.
All right. We're moving to the Jade Masterpiece. So this is a Dragon attachment item, Jade. Cost 1, military +0, political +1. Action. Bow this attachment. Choose an unclaimed ring. Move 1 fate from the chosen ring to another unclaimed ring. It's influence 2 and it's unique, which is important to note. So I think we chatted about this a little bit before we started recording.
Yeah, and my views have not changed.
Yeah, this is a card that, again, it's like a future. If the unclaimed ring mechanic develops a lot more in Dragon, this card could be something useful to play with. Right now, there are much better options for attachment choices. So,
man, sorry. No, I was just clearing my throat, man. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, are you gonna say that this card? Would you play this card?
You know what? Just go ahead. You know what? Just go ahead and leave your comments, fam. This water though is some bomb water. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So this card feels bad right now. I know where Hollis is going. Just let you know. But again, I think this is one that and it seems like the Monk play style with moving Fate around on unclaimed rings, if that starts playing to a really cool deck archetype, then that might be a deck you want to play with the Jade Masterpiece. Is that it? No one else say anything?
Well, I was waiting for you to finish, and I feel the exact same way. Unfortunately, this is a card that I really want to play because I just, when I draw it, I just could look at that art. So cool.
It is sweet art.
But the problem is that for one cost Fate to get 1 political right now, there are better ways to do that in Dragon.
Yeah, you have Kitsuki's method, right?
I mean, you could just put a fan on it and get like for 0 and get 2, right? So, and then you're able to trigger all your attachment, wonderful bonanza stuff. But this is a design space right now that is not fully flushed out. you know, yes, there is one card in the game right now in Dragon that gives you a bonus if there's a lot of fate on rings, but what are the chances that that's going to be around and ready to play and set up? And when that card's out, you know everybody's trying to get the fate off the rings as quickly as possible. They're not letting it around for it to pass to your turn or.
Yeah, it would be really cool if they released like a card in the future though that would let your opponent not take fate off rings. But since we're not analyzing any of these cards under the assumption that that card exists, right now this card is bad.
Like, yeah, I mean, okay. So like we have cards we know,
but basically all you're doing is moving it, right? Move one fate from the chosen ring to another unclaimed ring.
Yes, it's terrible.
So hold on, now, let me just kind of position this ability right. So on average in a turn, a lot of times you'll have two rings that don't get chosen.
Sure.
Right? Just to say you have the situation, and both those rings get a fate. Your first player, you can move that fate from that ring over to the ring you're going to take if it's one of those two, and now you take that ring, gain 2 fate. So that's a nice like economy swing. That's kind of like the most basic version of this. So yeah, you have all those cool stack effects you could do with like unclaimed that synergize off of your characters. But that's also just a nice way to get an economy swing. And if you put this on with the Daimyo's Favor, you didn't pay anything to attach this.
No, but I think that's what you're going to have to do to get value, man.
Yeah, but I mean, if you paid 0 to then next turn potentially get 2 fate off of it.
And stop your opponent.
Yeah, and then let's say, oh man, if you're like turn 3 and there's a ring that's just been chill and they're getting fate, and then you take a fate from another ring and add to it and then take that ring, you could gain like 2 or 3. Now granted, these are ideal scenarios, but they're not like wild and crazy scenarios. These are things that can easily develop in a game. And that's not bad. I mean, it's bad compared to other options in Dragon right now without this opening up. To have more things to synergize off of that. Because the problem is, it's like you really want other cards to play off this mechanic. I feel like if you're going to go that route,
I think that's the bottom line. There's just not enough. There's just not enough of this mechanic flushed out right now. So you're looking in faction. There's not enough pieces that are moving around to make this super beneficial. And it being too influence splash, I really feel like you're not really taking it out of faction because of the other choices that are more dominant that Hollis already touched on. So I don't think there's really much else to say other than future potential.
Let's if you want my opinion, let's check out this flavor text for a second. The flavor text of this card reads: beauty, enlightenment, a tragic waste of jade. What do you see? It's a tragic waste of jade. Terrible. Get it out of here. In the flavor text, they know that the card is bad. In the flavor text, they're like, I mean, it is cool. It's a cool concept. You know what? Maybe we could do this. And then it ends the flavor text with, yeah, but it could just be bad though. And like that is what it is. Like it's probably just bad though. It's probably just bad.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. It's terrible. I would rate it terrible. Right now, again, cards I'm aware of that I know of, I rate it terrible.
Jameson, where are you placing it?
I don't think it's terrible, but I was gonna say it's.
So I think my initial reaction was bad, but I think as I talked, I think I want to put it in below average.
See, I'm wrestling the same as well.
I don't think I want to tank it all the way to bad because as I explained those examples of situations, like those weren't bad situations.
No, they weren't. But I mean, they're not. To me, it's like I'm thinking about what am I cutting for deck slots and things like that. What's going out to replace this? And I don't know. I mean, bottom line is that even if we say below average, Hollis saying terrible, he's pulled it down to bad. So, I mean, we can be on record that we don't think it's there, and Hollis is the bad guy. But
yeah, so let's put it in bad. I think that's where it lands, and we can probably adjust this later.
Okay, on to the next adventure here.
All right, next we have Kitsuki Yaruma. This is a dragon character who's a courtier. Cost 4, military 2, political 4, glory 2. as courtesy and no poison attachments. Take that, Fiery Madness.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Reaction. After this character enters play, choose an unbroken province, turn that province face down. So this is a neat ability, and the fact that he can give you a way to reload a lot of those reaction upon reveal provinces. Cool combo. If your opponent, say, hits a Night Raid, discards cards, and then he's in this province and you charge him, when he comes into play, he turns the province face down, and then the rules are you then flip the province over and trigger it again. Because it's now like a new instance of that province. So that's neat. That's a janky little combo. But so me personally, I have a soft spot for the Kitsuki, like investigators and stuff like that. I think it's pretty cool. 4 costs for a 2/4. This guy gets really good though if you can honor him, because if you have a 4/6, but that's if you're able to line that up, it becomes real garbage if he gets dishonored. But not being hit with poison attachments is pretty cool, because again, you don't get Fiery Madness. And courtesy, that gives you a fate. Yeah, it gives you a fate back whenever he goes away.
So this card, I feel like each time, like you're reading that off, and I'm like, yes, that's good, that's good, that's good. But I just think that each time I have to think like, okay, that's good in a certain situation. That's good in a certain situation. And I'm just trying to see the value of this, that this is going to bring in, constantly. And I'm not seeing him constantly give me a return on the investment of putting him into my deck. Because I mean, how many poison attachments are there in the game right now?
1.
Right. But
I swear all 3 of that 1 shows up.
Yeah, that's true, right? But I mean, that's and if you're paying 4 for his for this card, you're really, I feel like, looking at trying to get that reaction to trigger, and you might overthink it, or have this guy wait around and play and not make optimal plays, trying to hope that provinces aren't going to be broken and that you'll be able to bounce them back down and then spring them up. And then I'm like, well, what if it's not even one of those few provinces that have those on reveal reactions? Because those are the ones you're going to want to.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're playing with this guy, you're probably building your provinces to have a lot of those.
Yeah, but it's still going to have to come down to did your opponent pick the right province at the right time to run? I mean, sometimes it's going to be like awesome detrimental and really tempo swing the game for you. Other times you're just going to be like, son of a.
I think right now, so as like a 4-drop in Dragon, like what are your choices, right? You have like Aesthetic Visionary, which isn't that great. And then what is Neat Master, also the other 4-drop? Is that correct? And that's it. That's your 2 4-drops, right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes this guy may make it in just on virtue of being better than Aesthetic Visionary. But that might be it. I think it's just like a temporary swap until a better card comes out that then replaces his deck slot. Yeah,
but I don't think that brings him up into the auto-include territory. Which this card feels average to me. I was going to say the same, but I really, really want to like it more. Yeah. But I think average is a safe play for it. Like, he's not bad. Like, he's got good stats, good abilities. His like effect is good. But he isn't like an auto include. No, and the problem is the 4 too for me. And I don't mean the his stats. I just mean the 4 fate cost also. Because I think you're gonna have to start watching. Like, not to use the mana curve, right? You can't have too many 4-drops. Yeah. And he just doesn't. seem to fit in right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Okay.
sad. I am sad because I want to love the dragon, but I mean, I want it. An average and a bad so far is not a good way to start the first pack.
Yeah, average.
Yeah. Cool.
Like I agree with everything you guys have said. Easily average.
Yeah.
Cool. Average. Let's
All
keep
right,
rolling.
let's go into the next one and give Hollis
We're gonna be able to blow through these real fast.
Yeah.
So we'll go into the Lion territory. Gifted Tactician, Lion character, Bushi Commander, cost 2, military 2, political 1, glory 1. Reaction: after this character wins a military conflict, draw 1 card. Cool. Right now,
let
go ahead, Hollis. What's your gut reaction?
2 for 2-1 is like not super amazing. It's really not that great, I don't think. Like 2 for 2-1 doesn't seem that crazy. After winning a military conflict, you draw 1 card. Sure, that's not as good as Spyglass, though. Right? Like Spyglass is like you're in the conflict, draw a card.
This is borderline off the chain, man.
When you move the character to the conflict, you draw a card.
When you move, but like that's all Unicorn does.
But Spyglass is on an attachment. And
sure.
As we talked about earlier, there's a lot of attachment hate right now in the game.
Right.
This is built into a character that in a clan that's okay at winning military conflicts.
Right.
Triggers you card draw.
Hey,
plus it's not on a unique character.
Corey, back it up a second. That's okay for winning military conflicts?
the sarcasm.
No, this is a phenomenal card built into a clan that sometimes pretty much wins goddamn all the time.
Just steamroll.
I mean, they do win a lot, yeah.
So playing Lion a little bit here.
A winning card in a winning faction. Come on.
You win military conflicts, draw cards. So a lot of Lion decks like the bid 1. They don't like the bid high because they want to stay more honorable than you to turn on a lot of their other cards like Venerable Historian, Obstinate Recruit, stuff like that. Steadfast Samurai, if you're going that high up. So then this is a way for them to add in built-in card draw. Plus that commander trait may, spoiler, it will, but may become very useful to trigger off other cards that might come out in the future.
Remember in the before the cameras were rolling, what did you say that you need to do in a card game to win?
Draw cards.
Draw cards.
So it's also cheap. So I know you looked at like 2 for 2-1. That actually is fine in Lion because they can funnel guys. And if you think about like with the Stronghold on the offense, he's a 3-1 for 2. If an Honor General pops in, he's a 3-1. With Stronghold, he's a 4-1.
Well, and also on top of that, I mean, if they're going to give this card the ability to draw cards, he can't be like that's good enough to where you can't balance the raw stats, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Like you can't be a 2-2 or any like a 3-1 even.
What I'm really happy about on this card is that the win military isn't limited to just attacking. Yeah. So it's not like because so many Lion cards are you having to be the attacker, but this guy can be part of winning military. Actually, he isn't. Yeah, he needs to be in the conflict, either defending or attacking, and it's military. He can trigger and win this challenge. And if you play like the Unicorn Splash, where you can change political to military, you have a lot of options you can flip to make it a challenge where you can trigger and draw cards. And you have Spyglass. Draw all the cards.
So in summary, this card had to be 2 or like fake cost, or it would be broken. The stats had to be skewed like that, or it would be broken. But so adding so an extra fate to it, to the normal curve of what Lion brings, and having that bonkers ability, this is what Lion wants to do. You want to put a guy out there, and you want to him to serve his purpose. You want him to go away, and you're getting a bonus for it.
Yep. To me, that feels good. I think he's good.
I think he's good as well.
Hollis is in contemplation.
So, I didn't read this card correctly. So, in my head, I'm like, every time, whenever a card gains a benefit from like winning a conflict, in my head, it's always like I immediately go to like I am the attacking player. I win that conflict. I don't always disconnect being the attacking player versus just winning. That's it. I just won.
Yeah.
So I can just have this card out and just like wait and just do.
And then you get a card.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, this card's good.
Yeah.
All right, we have a unanimous good.
Yo,
Don't
but this
worry.
card's like better. Like put it on top of Karada District because like this card is better than Karada.
Well, we broke it into a clan, so we have each clan has their own tier list running.
Okay.
So
That's fine.
So that way,
That's
at
fine.
the end of the cycle, we could see like where each clan shook down on our opinions of their card releases. All right. These next two should be much quicker. Sorry. Hito District. This is a unique district for Lion. It's a Lion holding. It's Imperial. Strength +1. Limit 1 per deck. Political conflicts cannot be declared against this holding's province. I don't really like this card.
Yeah.
What's that? You want me to tell you why? Because yes, it seems like a really powerful ability for the holding to turn off entirely one type of challenge. But the fact you can only play with one of this in the deck, again, game balance, I understand that. But you don't know when it's going to pop up. It may pop up in a point in the game where it doesn't really matter. And if it pops up early, your opponent knows not to do their political challenge at that province. They can hit one of the other three, break it with their political side, and go somewhere else. Right now in the game, this card feels bad. I would not play with this card.
It doesn't do enough.
It feels like there's too many ways to get around this card.
Yeah, it doesn't do enough. Like, okay, you can't declare political conflicts, but like the defense is only +1. Now, granted, it is Lion, but so you have to do a military versus Lion, which is that is stern for Lion. But at the same time, I'm like, well, but who cares? Like, just go to a different remote. Excuse me. Go to a different province.
Right.
And it's a holding. Like, would you prefer this versus like, I don't know,
staging ground? Yeah, I would rather this be a staging ground any day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know. The only time
I know there's the argument, right? If you're playing against like Crane maybe or Scorpion, you're like, oh, but they're very political focused. They're gonna have a hard time breaking this holding. I don't believe that. I believe they will it'll be easier than you think for them to find a way to get in and still break this, or they'll just send their political powerhouse to one of your other provinces.
So I don't think this is bottom of the barrel. Right, because I mean, you have to give it at least a point for having that surprise effect. If someone's like, all right, political here, and then you're like, bam, political can't be declared. Sorry.
But it's not a surprise because it's a holding, not a province.
Yeah, shit, that's right.
So they know.
Yeah. Yep.
Rip.
So
that's right. Oh fuck.
Rip.
Yeah.
Rip.
Yep. So bad.
Yep.
If you end up if this again,
oh my god,
I feel like the only way this card can get better is if there ends up being like an amazing selection of provinces that Lion can build that's very anti-political focus, and this is another piece of the puzzle to make the deck very anti-military. Then this card can have a place and be worth playing. Right now, I feel like with the style and the way Lion decks play, this card doesn't deserve a deck slot. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think for the fact that
Corey.
I'm just not liking these limit 1 per decks.
Yeah, I mean, the crab one. I mean, if you compare this to the crab one, right? The crab one feels a lot more impactful when it shows up than this one does.
Yeah, I just can't get behind the 1 per decks right now. I don't know how many games are people cycling out their full Dynasty decks.
And what's funny to me is when I see limit 1 per deck, it makes me always question if I'm like actually evaluating the card correctly. Because like to me, the concept of having a card that's like limit 1 per deck is that it's powerful enough that
it has a built-in restricted.
Right. And so when I look at this, I'm like, is it? I'm like, chat. If we're off base, let us know. But is this actually strong enough to be? Is this card Hito District strong enough to like justify the limit 1 per deck ability?
I mean, for that, I think you have to. Because if you
well,
have
yeah,
pop up, then you shut down
man,
super hardcore.
Right,
but
but
then
it's
you're
like,
not getting any resources. So the trade-off is like you're getting one new card.
I mean, it would
per
probably
turn.
be probably be
like
more
what?
detrimental against yourself playing multiple.
And then what if
Yeah.
Hito District pops up on a broken province?
Right.
Garbo, get it out of here.
Yeah, it's like it's literally it's just
you don't even think about, you don't take that into account, man. But okay,
Yeah.
so is it terrible then? I was gonna say bad, but
I'm initially bad.
You know me. Where am I gonna go
Yeah.
for?
You're going terrible.
I'm going
I
terrible.
might have to go with him, man. I might go to Terrible
Cool.
Town.
I'll go terrible.
Let's
with
do
this
it.
shit.
Let's go to Terrible Town.
And it means I'll wait on chat. I'm waiting on chat to tell me
Right.
if this card is actually
Move.
like someone's gonna have to do some pretty heavy convincing that this card is not terrible.
Move to the next one, Corey. What do you got?
Okay. Well, it might have someone joining it. Next, we have Time for War. This
Oh,
is
cool.
a Lion event. Cost 0.
Yeah.
Seeker roll only. So currently, right now, Lion is not able to play this. Reaction.
That's so weird.
After you lose a political conflict, choose a Bushi character you control. Put a weapon attachment with a printed cost 3 or lower into play from your hand or conflict discard pile attached to that character. So right now, the most used weapon attachments are like Fine Katana,
Ancestral Daisho.
Ancestral Daisho, and those are all 0 and 1s.
Is
The only
is
costed
Honor Blade?
weapon attachment in game, Honor Blade is a 1. The only higher than 1 costed attachment currently in the game is Jade Tetsubo. And that's not worth synergizing this combo to play this card off of. And you also shouldn't be playing that. Anyway, right now, based on the weapon selection cards in the game, this card is bad.
I might have to side with Hollis on this one.
Jameson, where do you think I'm gonna rate this card?
All I have to know,
I can't wait for you to tell me.
all I have to know is it better or worse than Hito District?
So this card could pull a weapon out of your discard pile, which I think makes it more useful than Hito District.
Okay, then it's above Hito District in the terribles.
It's like, what? Again, like I feel like FFG sometimes plays these funny games with us based on card text. Like I just talked about how like one card was like the Jade card, right? Is like hilarious because of like the flavor text. Let's talk about the actual like title of this card. Time for War. Guess what? It's not your time right now.
Ooh, look at
It
this
will be
guy.
eventually, but right now, while you're not a
close.
seeker
You're getting
roll,
deep
while you're
with
what?
this stuff, man.
I know, it's
So,
clever
I feel-
wordplay.
I feel like this was done intentionally. It's just if the card is called Time for War. Right now, this is
Yeah.
not its time. This is
Now,
not.
if
so-
you get out a lot of really good weapon attachments, because right now, like Lion has one card that triggers off Akoma Eiji, who triggers off losing a political conflict. It's a cool ability. He's kind of overcosted right now, and so whatever. But if you get really good weapon attachments that come down the line, this card's usability could go up. The thing that makes it really difficult, right, is you have to lose a political, and then you have to have a Bushi character to be able to attach a weapon keyworded item. There's a lot of things that you have to like follow to be able to play and trigger the card to make it be something effective and useful.
Yeah, right. And top of the line, Seeker roll only. That's another one, right? So
Oh, yeah.
Seeker,
That's
you
a
have to
super
lose
important one.
you have to lose a political conflict. You have to have a Bushi. You have to have the weapon. That's too much, man.
Yeah.
As the card pool grows, look for this in Dragon, because bringing back those attachments from the discard pile are going to be really, really awesome. Time for War. I will see you sometime down the road, but not yet.
Yeah, it's house, but it's not your time.
It's not your time.
Ugh.
It's like that
Yeah.
dude from Gladiator, right? It says
It's like literally.
See you
It's like
again.
literally.
Not
It's
yet.
literally every baby boomer in 2017. Okay, let's go to
Let's move on.
Blood of Onitagu.
What?
The blood of Onitangu.
No, Phoenix. Go to the Phoenix ones next.
Oh, we're going to Phoenix next.
Yeah, neutrals
okay.
are last, man. That's how we do.
All right. So we're gonna go to Embrace the Void.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Can we embrace it?
I can get behind that.
Phoenix attachment spell Void. Cost 0, military 0, political 0. Play only if you control the Sugenja character. Interrupt. When one or more fate will be removed from attached character, instead move that fate to your fate pool. Good. This card's good.
Yeah.
I had someone play this. They splashed this in Unicorn. They played it on one of my characters, and I hit an Endless Plains, and they just took all the fate off my character into the thing. It was a terrible play on my part for one, attacking a solo character against Unicorn, but I was like 1 out of 4. And I even made the joke, here I go right into your Endless Plains. And then I didn't even realize that trigger worked until we looked at it, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess you Endless Plains all that fate to your fate pool. Good on me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you that I will probably experiment with this inside of Dragon.
Yeah.
As I am right now, I'm pretty much dabbling Dragon Phoenix. And I can probably I know the card that I replace for this to try, because I like that Shigenzi synergy in there. But I just want to remind you that interrupts still only happen once per round.
But the card says 1 or more fate.
Dun, 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 dun.
So like, like an assassinate or something like that kills and has some fate on it. I don't know. Very weird scenario. But like a noble sacrifice, or we're talking all these crazy clan combinations. But hell, even just the base ability of just playing it on a character that your opponent fated up and they're going to keep for a while. Cool. When that fate leaves that character, it's dripping into your pool. So you're taking their fate into your economy. That's good. This feels good. I would enjoy reaching across the table and taking the fate off my opponent's characters and putting it in my fate pool. It would feel great. And even someone came up with that really janky combination of if you play with like Jade Tetsubo and you play this on a character.
I was hoping you weren't going to go there.
You play it on their character and then Jade Tetsubo, and instead of all the fate going back to their pool, all the fate moves to your pool, which is a really funny interaction. So there's a lot of like combo-rific jankiness this card is probably going to continue to unlock as more and more stuff comes out. But it's a good card. I agree. I like it.
Like, not being able to spend fate at a conflict, especially like
when are you looking at Embrace the Void?
No, I'm not. Oh God. Oh no. Sorry.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh shit. What?
There we go. I got him back on track. Sorry, we were super hyped on this, and
I don't know if I'm super hyped at the moment, man.
It's 0 though.
Yeah,
it's 0.
I know, hey, everything lines up, but I just think right now it's above average.
That's cool.
I think just because it's an attachment, I think you're gonna have to try and get it to set up, and you're gonna want it to stay in play for a couple turns. So to set that up on a big guy, I think you're making him a target, or like as he is as a target already. I don't know.
Interesting.
So we have a good and above average. Where you set Hollis?
I'm gonna vote this card as good.
All right. Then.
All right. It's good. All right.
As good.
Next, we go to the other Phoenix card, Asawakade. She's a Phoenix character, Sugenja Void. Cost 5, military 3, political
also triggers
4.
With the Void Ring effect.
Glory 3. Yeah, that's true. Glory 3. Immune to opponent's ring effects. While this character is attacking, the contested ring gains the Void element. if this character wins the conflict as an attacker, instead of choosing an element to resolve each of that ring's effects. So she attaches the void ability to all the rings when she's the attacker. Mm. Again, don't forget the other part. She's immune to opponents' ring effects. So they can't bow her, they can't take fate off her, they can't dishonor her with their rings. She ain't having it.
It doesn't let you resolve the void twice.
Sure.
Just saying. I'm just reading
Nope, that's good. That's good. Clarification.
And remember that the first player chooses the order which they resolve, right?
Mm-hmm. This card is great. I don't know how this card is any less than great. This card hits the table, it's a problem. Like, you're getting so much control with her on the board. It seems pretty disgusting.
Here's the only problem I have with this card.
Is that you can have more than one in play at a time.
No, that's not it. And this is going to be old guy syndrome for me. Because why can't they just spell the ring out instead of putting a crunched shitty symbol of it on the card? Like, realistically, like, you know what that is? That says ring gains the void element, VOID. 4 more characters. You can't fit that on that card?
Because your rings aren't cards. Your rings are little discs with symbols on them.
No, I just wanted to say...
the symbol on the disc that you're picking up and moving.
Dude, I don't want the symbol on the disc. Someone can give me an alt text card for this that removes these. They're just so small and squishy. I hate it.
Hate's a strong word.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so I put this in great. Anyone else have any thoughts, changes?
I put it as good.
Okay, Hollis says is good.
I think that the card itself is really crazy, like looking in a vacuum, but
which is what we're doing.
No, we're looking at it everything all together, right? Like if I'm weighing everything out, and I just the cost is steep for me, man, and being able to.
I mean, she can replace Sakune.
I was just gonna say this is champion level, right?
Yeah, I mean, she could easily slot Sakune's spot. I wouldn't even feel bad about it.
No.
Because she's just Sugenjo, which is something that Sakune isn't. And she still becomes super powered when she's honored. She becomes a 6/7.
Okay, is this the best card?
They can't be hit with ring effects. Hello?
Yeah.
I mean, that ability right there is... It's just opponent's ring effects. It's so...
That's great.
So, like, she gets honored. She can't be dishonored with the fire ring. She's like, nope. Not having it. You can't take fate off me.
It's great.
Not dealing with that.
It's great. I mean,
yeah. Cool. So I guess we'll go on the Scorpion next.
Yep.
Since that's in line. Okay. So next we have Meek Informant. This is a Scorpion character, peasant shinobi. Cost 1, dash military, political 1, glory 0. Reaction. After you play this character, look at an opponent's hand. It's a conflict deck card, influence 1. So this is interesting, right? Because now we play into the realm of how strong having a knowledge of your opponent's hand is. But considering, and I'm going to kind of go to Hollis's comment about how this game can be swung by like incremental advantages or adjustments. Being able to have knowledge of all the options your opponent can do in a conflict is really strong, because you can immediately know what you can and can't commit to be able to win this challenge, and you know the extent at which they can pressure to be able to defeat you in the challenge. You could even, if you're a wily Scorpion, use this to bluff, like you can deal with it, handle it, and then your opponent may be like, oh, he knows. Like, there's a lot of interesting things you can play with this card psychologically, but I think being able to drop it and then know like exactly what your opponent can do for like that turn is pretty strong.
I think this is a good card.
Yeah.
it lacks a little on the stats to move into great, but to me, this is pretty much, so this is the reason why it gets to good, is because I think this is almost like an event in character form. All you're doing is basically paying 1 to get the reaction, and because it's a character, it's a little harder to stop that from happening.
Right.
So paying 1, I'm going to look at your hand, I'm going to see what you have, and then, I mean, pretty much it can just go and do whatever it wants to do. I can use it for a blocker, or I can go in and give it an extra political, but I'm not really caring too much what it's doing at that point.
Yeah, and think about this, right? What's a really strong Scorpion card? Forge Edict. You look at your opponent's hand, you know exactly what you have. You can then immediately take note of what your Forge Edict needs to be banked for. Like, you can kind of see how, because Scorpion can play very active, you can then know, like, okay, cool, he's got this, this, and this. So if he plays this, I can call in favors this card. If he's going to play this event, I've got a Forge Edict to take care of it. You can pretty much know, like, take a quick snapshot and know how these actions are going to play out and what's going to happen if you commit to this challenge. I mean, it's hard to get a lot of mid conflict phase card draw outside of Spyglass right now, and then characters with Sincerity leaving play. So going into the conflict phase, knowing what's all in your opponent's hand, is real good.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Scorpion, wow. Scorpion is poised to be the faction that takes the biggest advantage out of looking at your opponent's hand and taking that information and making a decision based on it, like Corey has said. I don't know if, like most card games, often just looking at your opponent's hands, we're going to get deep here, but if you look at Duress from Magic, there's a huge advantage to be gleaned by looking at your opponent's hand, knowing what, like you said, knowing what their capabilities are, and then in return also being able to discard a card and then allow your decisions to be made very much based on the information available to you on your opponent's hand. I don't know how beneficial this is yet. I don't, because in this game, we don't know how important it is to know that your opponent has XYZ cards. If you know your opponent has to let go, for example, are you do you play your Cloud of Mine or your Fine Katana and wait to see if they remove it? Or do you just turtle up and you don't play anything? Well, you can't do that, because now that's a utility they keep. They can be played at any point in time. And if they're going to play the card anyway, there's a really weird question you have to ask yourself. Okay, if I know they have XYZ cards, does me playing a card ultimately affect this decision significantly enough to warrant this card to be played? I don't think the card is bad. I'll make that very clear. I don't think the card is at all bad. I guess the question I have would be, when I think about the game competitively, when I think about the advantage gained from the card, do I think that looking at your opponent's hand offers a pretty distinctly clear advantage over another card that takes this slot? And I'm not convinced yet. The game is too new to know if that's the case. Mm-hmm. It's too new. So right now, to me, this card is very average. Until I know more, I don't know.
But if you play the Sneak Informant, you could know more.
Yeah.
I mean, you are right. Yeah. I mean, you are right though. But it's complicated.
Yeah. So
to me, the only thing that holds it back is exactly what makes it good is that because it is a character, you don't really have that much control over when you're able to pop it.
Mm.
Does that keep it at good, or do we drop it in above average?
I mean,
Hollis's average.
I mean, Hollis's definitely brings it down to above average, but to me it was good. Like I said, it's just about timing, right? If you have this flop and the opponent only has one card in hand, and you have to put it in, then you're just oh, crap.
Yeah, but he's a conflict character, so he plays from your hand. So that gives you a lot more flexibility, because your opponent doesn't know you have him. And Scorpion already has like really good conflict characters between like Adept of Shadows.
Yeah, and I mean, so it is fighting for a spot there, but I just mean like you
And this is also
you could be holding it for a bit, right? Like,
but this is another character too that can trigger off of the character that when you drop in characters, your opponent has to either dishonor somebody or discard a card at random. And so that gives you another good drop in character that's synergized with that character.
Yeah, I really think that it's a good card. So I'll go on record to say that that's where it should be. I mean, it's.
I mean, I vote good as well. So, does 2 goods overwrite Hollis's average, and we get it to good, or does it still pull it down to above average?
You know what? This is going to be just like.
Wait, you guys bend quite often. I'm gonna bend this time. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to above average?
I'm going above average to be optimistic.
Okay. So we can make it good. Thanks, Hollis.
Hey,
hopefully we don't let you down. Next episode. Oh, man,
I mean,
it's so bad.
The card really does seem like it could be like great, like right, like for information. But like, I don't think I know enough about the game. I don't think that until we get to more card packs do we know how important that amount of information is to the game. Mm-hmm. Because Netrunner for certain like factions is irrelevant. Like there's a card that basically says reveal your hand, gain money. Yeah. And in Netrunner, you basically show your opponent your whole hand, and you're like, hey, this is my hand. Good luck. Like, now I know this game is like more cerebral, but you don't know. You don't know how beneficial that is.
Hey, judging by Worlds, Netrunner is really cerebral too.
Oh, yep, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Anyway,
but you know what though? This game is more about timings and about having the counters and about being able to play around those counters, and you're going to see counters and interrupts trigger and things like that. Where Netrunner is more fluid and there is more hidden information with your stacks of ice and things like that you're going to have to be able to come in. And traps and different stuff like that. Like I just think it's a different breed. This game here, how many times I would love to see what my opponent is holding to stop me from blowing my whole wad of cards to try and break a province, and then the person just waiting, like, you know, me going like add a +2 attachment, pass, add a +2 attachment, pass, add a +2 attachment, or whatnot, you know, boost, you know, my stronghold abilities, and then right at the end the guy's like, and assassinate. And I'm like, oh, all that discarded, this guy discarded, and I don't even win a ring, you know? So it's all about playing around those timings and those surprises, and this unclouds all of that, pulls that shroud of darkness away, and lets you make better choices. And
And another thing to add too, think about how often that hand changes if you get this card early game. So if you go through your first bid phase and your opponent draws a bunch of cards, there's usually not too many times past that where your opponent gets another influx of a lot of cards, especially against Scorpion, where they're going to bid high again to draw. It's very unlikely. So a lot of the cards that you see and know, that hand isn't going to change a whole lot throughout the course of the game. So you're then going to get and have a lot of knowledge as you play through future turns of knowing what they're going to have. So all that knowledge is adjusting as there'll be like 1, maybe 2 mystery cards you may not be aware of.
Yeah, draw is still is something that a lot of people are thirsty for.
All right, cool. So we have one more Scorpion card, and that is Smoke and Mirrors. This is a Scorpion event technique, cost 1. Action: during a conflict, choose any number of attacking shinobi characters you control. Move each chosen character home. Influence cost 2. This is a potentially really cool card when a lot of shinobi come out. Right now, this card feels below average just because there's not enough shinobi that really synergize with this ability.
I think it could even drop a little lower than below average because there's not that huge amount of synergy right now.
Yeah, the ability is really. I mean, we just talked about like Doji representative, right? How strong the ability is to be able to pull back, and the fact that this can pull back any number of attacking shinobi, like that's really strong.
Oh, 100%.
Especially if you could get an idea where you get a bunch of characters commit, go in, you know, you can break it, and then your opponent defends. You're like, just kidding. All these guys are coming back to my reserve for 1 fate.
No, I was the cost is definitely in line. The you know, the ability is definitely bananas, but
there's just not good cards that synergize with it right now.
Yeah, and that's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Hollis, you got a long story short?
I mean,
I feel below it. Below average is where I fall with it. I think this card is likely to change very quickly based on releases.
I say I'm saying bad.
it's a weird scenario to like commit like characters to a conflict and then say JK, they're back.
Well, it's ninjas,
you know what I mean?
Man. They're all ninjas.
Yeah, like you toss all your dudes out and you're like, okay, so like I'm in this conflict. Good luck. And they're like, yeah, well,
vanish.
Yeah, I mean that's
vanish.
fine, but it seems like such a niche. Like. Well, I mean, like, I don't feel like you're often going to commit with more than 2 characters in play. Like in the current game as it is, committing heavily with 2 characters in play, especially knowing they have to both be shinobi, is like a really like weird thing to do, because like that's like 2 is probably on average the max. And now you're like, okay, well, I just bring them home. I attacked, you commit resources to defend, and I bring these characters home. And I'm like, yeah, but favorable ground though. Like what?
So where are you sitting with it?
Sorry,
I think it's pretty. I think it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys want to put it in the bad, I'm holding firm on my below average.
Yeah.
I think that this card's likely to change very quickly.
Oh, 100%, Corey. I'm saying, but I mean, looking at the position that we are in right now, not enough shinobis, man. Not enough.
All right, so we've got unicorn cards and neutrals, and we are done. So let's try to get through these last few here.
Right.
So Swift Magistrate, unicorn character, Bushi Imperial Magistrate, cost 3, military 2, political 2, glory 1. While this character is attacking, each other character that has 1 or more fate on it does not count its skill towards the resolution of this conflict.
Wow.
So some things people have pointed out that's a little bit of an annoyance on this card is it doesn't have Cav, even though the artwork, she's clearly on a horse.
Yeah.
A little bit of an oversight there.
Yep.
Artist miscommunication. But what's interesting is this does have the Imperial keyword. That's something to keep in mind. And, I mean, that ability is pretty freaking good. I mean, other characters that 1 or more fate on it, they don't count their abilities. So, like, champs who usually, like, load up with fate.
Your characters.
Yeah, I mean, other, like, important characters, like, I mean, me, like, Lion, my honor generals usually have fate on them. Kitsuki Spirit Callers, some of them have fate. Lion Spread Brawlers. I mean, those are not insignificant cards to then not have them count when you're attacking me. 3 costs for a 2/2 with only 1 glory. Yeah, that's expensive, but that could be a really impactful ability.
So where are you sitting? Are you sitting it at above average, or higher?
So if we're rating it just as unicorn cards, this card feels above average for unicorn.
Okay, so far we're on par.
Yeah,
and I was thinking that too, just because the cost and the stats and stuff like that don't really stand out, but the ability could potentially be.
Yeah, I mean there will be matchups
Sweet.
where that ability really does nothing, right? But the matchups where it does do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and plus it's neutralizing yourself too, isn't it?
Oh yeah. So that's interesting. So, yeah, each other character. So you have to be careful about how much fate you put on your own guys. Very, very interesting ability.
Right. So I just think it's. I mean, in the right, if the stars align, it can be all right. But I think that's why it's. I just think it's above average at the moment because of the potential. The potential of that ability is awesome.
Yeah.
Hollis.
I mean, meh.
So is that average? Is it your meh?
Yeah. I feel like this card's very average. If it was cavalry, it'd be above average, easy.
Yeah, that cav trait. Not having it.
Yeah.
So do you agree then? Do you want to take it?
Yeah, you know what? I'll drop it down to average.
Okay,
That feels better.
I can take it there for now too.
Okay, but hey, next up, we've got the yurt. Get ready for the best damn yurt you've ever seen. It's the windswept yurt. This is a unicorn holding, finally, what we've all been screaming for. Strength +1. Action. Sacrifices holding. Select 1. Each player gains 2 fate, or each player gains 2 honor. Then you refill the province face up. This is a really interesting card. So you can either... It's an action ability. So I've seen some neat interactions. People say, like, if you bank for like a really good power turn, you use this after your opponent has passed to then gain 2 extra fate you can spend during the Dynasty phase. So they can't really take advantage of the extra fate you give them to be able to buy more characters. It can help you in the dishonor play by just giving you honor. I think it gives you some interesting choices in clan.
You don't want to give it to someone else, though.
What?
You don't want to give it to someone else.
You're not giving the decision. You select, and each player gains what you choose.
Yeah,
I know. So either both players gain the fate, or both players gain honor. But you're also refilling the province face up, so it's helping you cycle through, and you're getting money. Or you're getting honor. Like, if you're getting hit with dishonor, this is a quick way to give yourself honor back. Like, if your opponent has more honor than you, it doesn't really matter. Unicorn doesn't care. They just don't want to dishonor out.
I think that if this didn't say refill face up, I think that's what saves this card. I just can't. I don't like putting a card in my deck that's going to benefit you. I don't mean you personally. I mean, I'll put something in that benefits Corey, but
thanks.
I don't want to put it in there that benefits my opponent.
Yeah.
Well, can you tell me a better yurt you would put in your deck? Yeah.
Yurt.
You can't name one better yurt than this yurt. I don't think so.
I feel like I'm stuck in a weird Dr. Seuss book right now. Oh the yurts you will go, or these are the yurts. Wow. I know.
Above average is where I fall with this. I think the refill face up is good, and I think the flexibility for Unicorn is a cool ability for them to have in faction.
Basically just to refill, to get a quick bump.
A big thing, and just to add to, yes, you may be giving fate to your opponent, but Unicorn tend to have a higher cost curve, and a lot of their events can also be very expensive. So this is also a way for you to gain a fate boost to be able to turn on some of your higher end events, or to help offset that. And that can be more important for you. It doesn't matter you're giving the extra fate to your opponent if you now gain the ability to play like Cav Reserves or something like that.
I mean, if you can guarantee that it's going to be a good refill every time, then I can.
I mean, this is like the only holding Unicorn runs, right? So it's gonna be a character unless you get another yurt. You double yurt, you yurt squared, and then and then you just pop it again and refill. And then you might triple yurt. You might yurt hard.
I'll give you above average.
Thanks.
I got nothing else to say for it.
Good, because I'm just running out of things to combine with yurt. So. Anyway, okay, so that's the Unicorn card. So above average.
Hollis,
do we make it?
You got anything to say about that quickly?
I think above average is pretty appropriate.
Okay, next.
Thanks, Hollis.
Good job, Corey.
Yeah. All right, so now we have neutrals, and then we've done it. We've done a team. So now we're going to go back to Blood of Onitagu. This was the card that Hollis gave his initial impression of.
Yep.
He realized he was giving the impression of the wrong card.
Yep.
But I'll go over this card, and then we can go back in. So Blood of Onitagu is a neutral province shrine. It is a fire province, strength 3, seeker roll only. During conflicts at this province, each player cannot spend fate from his or her fate pool.
I'm not impressed.
This is really... this is a really hard card to rate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of clans right now play events and cards like that. They're spending fate during the conflict phase, and the fact this is such a low province strength, it's hard for to say this card could be good. I will say, coming from like old L5R, being able to pretty much like shut down a lot of things your opponent can do, even if it's you yourself, but if you're playing a faction that has really good stats and really good solid things on your characters and out, to turn off the ability of your opponent to play things and tricks during the conflict can be really good. And let's say hypothetically you had a clan that could super buff their provinces, like maybe had a stronghold that was like +3, or maybe had like holdings that add a lot of strength to this province and make it harder to take. Could be really interesting denial type strategy or build to play.
Where are you sitting it?
Right now this feels below average.
Okay, perfect. To me, I'll tell you that limits his choices with Seeker. But taking that away, I think that it's not the first fire that I'm wanting to go to. I think there's better fire choices out there right now. And basically, if this maybe was into the 4s, I could talk pushing
That's
it
true.
up.
3 is really low.
But having a 3 strength, I just doesn't that just doesn't sit well with me. It sits below average.
That's some of these provinces. I feel like that's a province that's like very specific on the clan that takes it. I think there's going to be a specific deck built around having this be like a stronghold province, which it can be, or something like that, to make it really difficult to finish off the game.
Still probably taking meditations over this.
Yeah. Hollis, what's your thoughts? You sounded kind of hyped on it earlier.
Okay, so like I was hyped because I felt like if you knew you had the advantage already, you very much prevented your opponent from like swinging the back in your favor. But the negative is that, like, to an extent, your opponent can game this. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, your opponent can easily game this and say, "Look, I've got my Sukune. She's honored, and good luck."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So where are you sitting it? Let me know where you're sticking
average.
It first. Okay, you're actually pulling it up. Wow.
Just a little bit. Just a little. I mean, just like a little bit.
Well, if it's only that far up, it doesn't seem negligible, and we'll just rank it as below average.
Okay. Next up, we have Finger of Jade. This is a neutral attachment item, Jade. Cost 1, military 0, political 0. Attached to a character you control. Interrupt. When the effects of a card ability that targets attached character would initiate, sacrifice this attachment, cancel those effects. Cool. I mean, you have to pay 1 fate, but to be able to put a kind of a cancel built in on a character isn't bad. This card feels like only a handful of decks are going to play with it. But it doesn't feel like a bad ability. Average, I think, feels like the right call for this. Man, everyone's in deep contemplation on the Finger of Jade. You're pretty much stopping at one time, in effect, targeting you.
But
right.
See, my problem with this, okay, so looking at it from all colored glasses, all right, because if I was just having my dragon glasses on, I'd be like, oh, well, I mean, it's an attachment, and I can get value out of it from doing a whole bunch of, attachy stuff, but when I really look at the card, so when the effects of a card ability that triggers the attached character would initiate, sacrifice the attachment, cancel those effects. My problem is that it's not a surprise. This card is because it's an attachment. It's out there. It's already. It's like, is somebody going to be like, oh, let me target you, and I know you're going to pop this?
Well, if you play a clan that uses like super solos, that tends to send and take provinces with like one big character, like Dragon or Crab, it might be okay for you to telegraph it, because at least you're protecting the character. So like they Miranda's Fury you, you're like, cool, I'll cancel that.
So
at least you burn one.
That is correct, but that's why I'm saying, like, looking at it from all of the clans, like, perspective, I just don't think that this has value to go around as a neutral.
Yeah, you're not going to see it. So you're not going to see it obviously in every clan, but I think the clans that can play this, it can be a valuable card for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think average is like a fair thing for it. It's not like, oh my god, you've got to play with the Finger of Jade. But I don't think you're wrong playing with this card. No. I think you can easily argue good instances where this card could protect you.
Yeah, and I mean, and plus being out there too, you attach it, you have that little, safety blanket. You know that it's there, and if you, that no harm can come while it's there.
Cool. Hollis. Hollis.
I mean, I don't know. Like, the ability to prevent your own cards from being like the target of abilities is good, but abilities are amazing. But like, this comes at a cost of one, and it's sort of like it is a what's the word, like proactive like solution, and that's sort of problematic because now it means that like maybe that card just is never the target of any of those abilities. Could be fine, but also could mean you're spending a fate on a card that really is not where you want to like invest your resources. If your opponent can't choose that target anyway, that normally just means they choose a different target.
Right.
And so that's...
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you're putting this on something that has fate already. Like, that's why that's why I could only really see it kind of sitting in Dragon at the moment.
Yeah. The value of this card is a little bit difficult to evaluate, primarily because it's like, all right, this card's protected. Do you want to use your abilities now? I mean, you can, but now they do nothing versus this card. I mean, you can do something against a different card, though, but not this card.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but do I want to tell my opponents to give a benefit to it, or a benefit over, or some negative, like, game change?
I mean, if you're playing it, like, on your clan champion, or, like, your daimyo, or something like that, I mean, is that bad to make them want to pick a different target?
No. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shoujus right now, when a Lion's Pride Brawler attacks, would love to have a Finger of Jade sitting on their character. So.
It's fair.
So, yeah. But like I said, but that's why I feel like average is okay.
I'm okay with that, only because I don't know how good this is, knowing your opponent can pick a different target. Like, what? Hello?
Yeah. Are we good with that?
Yeah. Last.
Okay. Oh, we are. We're next to the last card.
Uh-oh.
We have Goblin Sneak.
Oh, yeah.
Neutral character, Goblin Shadowlands. Cost 2, military 1, political dash, glory 0. After this character enters play, place 1 fate from an opponent's fate pool on it. It's a very interesting card. It jumps into play, takes fate from your opponent's fate pool, and puts it on the character so it stays in turn for another round. This card can play with some interesting decks that try to do like fate denial, or if your opponent's ending the turn on 1 fate to play certain cards, you can sneak this guy in, take the fate from him, and you turn off a lot of their card effects. Certain clans that have some high impact events, and the cost, and they're sitting exactly on that cost, playing the sneak can turn that off. This is a really hard one. This is kind of like a newer type of ability, it seems like, into the game. But I think if you play kind of like a denial style build, having this card's really cool. Conflict character, so you play it from hand, shut it down. I still personally want to drop it on average. I don't think it's a bad character. I don't think it's, oh my god, you have to play it and everything. And I think it's going to be like, it's a really minimal amount of builds that can get good mileage out of the sneak, but I think it's a really neat ability. Because sometimes fate's real finite or real limited, and being able to snake one over and is powerful.
I agree with you on all those points, but I just feel like that it's to me it's sitting below average.
Okay.
I do like the fact that you're paying 2 but getting 1 back. So basically, you can put a body in play for 1. But there's just, other than that, I just think the rest of it is just a little bit too fiddly. Because what if you can't play it and get that ability off? What if I mean, you can still hold it, right? So I mean, it's not like you're rushed to pull it out. But I feel like if you're not able to get that ability, you're overpaying for this guy. It's supporting a build that I don't think is there right now. And also I just feel like what if you're already winning, or it's kind of like, then it's fine. But if you're trying to come from behind already, like a deficit, this isn't really doing much for you, taking 1 fate and trying to swing that into this, right? Like,
I mean, I kind of feel like this. I don't know. I feel like this card sort of like it. Okay, so like what this card wants to do, like in my opinion, is it's bleeding into like that strategy where you start fate starving your opponent out based on like as the game progresses. Okay, we both have 2 fate. Well, now you only have 1, and one of your fate, I got to invest into my own like character. So now I have 2 and you have 1, and so you can play. I know the cards you can now play manageably at 1 fate and 0 fate, whereas I can play cards at 0, 1, or 2.
There's still, Hollis,
you're
on the right track, man. Hollis, you got it bang on, dude. There's still a lot of cards that you can play right now that are 0.
Yeah.
I think it's more so when you get into the realm of there being some like high costed impact events. Again, there's some things that's been spoiled coming down the line that are pretty expensive. So being able to turn that off. But like right now, I said some of the specific examples are like cab reserves, right? If you want like an anti-cab reserve style card or something like that, you want to be able to turn off some of those, like display of power. You drop it in, your opponent's sitting on 2, they don't block with anybody, and you're like, oh, let me just drop in the Scout and Snake, drop it down to 1. Now I know you're not going to display a power on me. I mean, it's very like preventative. But you are completely right that there's a lot of still really good 0 cost effects and events that even if you're denied all of your fate, you still have a lot of options on the table.
And once this dude's on the table, he's doing shit, man.
He's just sneaking around being a goblin.
I gotta say it's below average to me.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Hollis? I thought this was just a summary.
I'll go below average.
All right.
Okay.
Is it
I
better?
feel like this card. I feel like this card went up bad when we're at the end of the cycle, though.
Is it below Blood of, or above?
I'd put it above. This card will get played a lot more than Blood of Amaterasu.
Yeah.
All right, and now we have the namesake, the titular card.
It's got to be good if the pack was named after it.
Tears of Amaterasu, neutral province, shrine. It's a void province, strength 4, keeper roll only. Reaction: after this province is revealed, gain 1 fate for each attacking character.
Ooh, sounds awesome, but I don't think it is.
So worst case scenario, your opponent attacks with 1 character, you flip this province, and it's like a manicured garden?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. You pretty much
you used your void province for a manicured garden. Which means you gave up pilgrimage, and you gave up shameful display.
Yep, man, that's brutal, right?
Dude, I can't. To me right now, I would say this is bad, and that's just because of the choices that you're picking it over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's rough because those are good provinces, and I mean, if you think about like, yeah, you're having to give it up. Now, granted, if you're going for like a huge like economy build or whatever, but like I think the best clan that no,
It's not there yet. It's not there
yeah,
yet.
it's
man.
not there yet.
Right.
And how many people actually go and be like, here's, you know, 3, 4, you know, guys all attacking with fate. You know, here's 5 guys coming at you with all fate on it. I think most people are more likely to even scout like provinces and things out, right? Like
Right.
as more things get dangerous, that's, you know, your first conflict is going to be, let me see what province is there, and your second conflict is going to be, all right, I'm taking that.
Right. And then this even doesn't even feel like a good one. So like some of the arguments for like another card that acts like this, like Night Raid, right? Night Raid, your opponent drops cards to re-character. That one, if you put it on your stronghold as being like a tricky, they commit a lot of people, you could wipe a lot of their hand out, limit their choices. This doesn't even feel like a great stronghold card to use that same trick. It's like, oh, that's where they're going to commit more characters. So I gain a bunch of money, so now I can play like some cards. That could be good depending on what clan I am. So like if you're like a unicorn or something and you want to try to turn your cab reserves on, that could be interesting. That's all I got.
Meh. Yeah.
But this card, I want to rate it below average, but I could be persuaded to move it further down. That's where I kind of feel like it lands to me. I think it's got too tough competition in the void category.
Like I feel like because it's sort of comparable to like Manicured Gardens. Is that right?
Yeah, it's Manicured Garden that gives you the fate.
Right,
Field
like
throws you the card.
Yeah, so like because it's comparable to like Manicured Gardens, you want to be able to say, okay, it can't be worse than that. But the truth is, it can be, because you have to also consider what you're giving up. Like if your opponent, like what you mentioned, if your opponent only has like one character, then it's as good as Manicured. That's not ever like at no point then if it's as good would I ever play this over Manicured Gardens.
Yeah, and it's actually funny. This card can also be worse than Manicured Garden because Manicured Gardens is an action, which means you can use it as a stall and an effect and open up. This is a reaction when revealed, which means that characters like Cautious Scout, if he comes by himself, you don't get to gain any money off of it. You don't even get to gain the 1 if he comes at your province.
Yeah.
I think it's bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd go with that.
Yeah, pretty bad. Pretty bad. Pretty
right,
bad card, guys.
We made it. We did it.
We got there.
Man.
Hey. In the sake of in the sake of the length of that this episode has come to, and the good discussions that it does generate, thank you very much for hanging out with us right to the bitter end. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you tune in. Check out the sheet. Drop your comments below. Tune in for the next one. These packs are going to come fast and furious, so we look forward to these ratings.
Moving around. Shifting. Cool. Hey, thanks again, everybody.
Hollis, what do you got to say here? You got the last words.
No true real talk. I feel like a lot of the cards that we saw in this pack are basically going to allow like for additional options. I'm really interested. My true excitement is going to be at the end of this cycle when we're able to say, okay, the main question is Dragon the best universal splash? At this point, are XYZ factions better off splashing other clans instead of just Dragon to balance to balance what they're weak against? And I think we saw a few gems, like a few cards that are especially like even in Crane, right, or Crab, cards that are like, okay, this is splashable and good, that could that would replace a dominant strategy. If Dishonor is a dominant strategy, this card is a viable reason to include this card over anything else. And like that's interesting to me. I don't know. I would like to see where we are in 6 weeks.
Yep. I'm going to get a lot of new cards, so it'd be cool.
Cool, guys. Thanks a bunch, and we'll catch you all later. Bye for now.
See you guys.